As many of you know, I love heritage poultry, and here at Moss Mountain Farm, we keep quite a range of poultry. In fact, December has been named Heritage Goose Month, and so we're going to talk about some of the breeds that we keep here at Moss Mountain Farm. They're fascinating. Stay tuned. Before we go any further, I'd like to thank our sponsors. The garden tours are made possible by Gilbert H. Wild & Son, who've been growing beautiful perennials since 1885. Ralston Family Farms, a farm family producing delicious rice for your table. First Community Bank, whose heart is in the community, as well as Sun Patience, Super Cal Petunias, and Dragon's Breath Celosia. And Crystal Bridges, Museum of American Art. Check out my website to learn more about the brands we love. Now, if you're interested in these heritage breeds of geese, you can go back to the Standard of Perfection and take a look at photographs of them. I keep an old copy from the 1950s by one of my reading tables. It shows pictures of what these birds are supposed to look like, what they looked like in the 19th century, what they looked like in the early part of the 20th century. And what we try to do is breed to that standard. The Standard of Perfection is the guidebook that all APA licensed judges use when they go through a poultry show and look at these beautiful creatures. The APA is the American Poultry Association. You can join that. You can join breed clubs. There are various goose clubs you can join, and it's a great way to get to know people of like mind. Birds of a feather, right? So there's something fascinating about heritage poultry for me. They need a lot of help. So many of these great breeds are in decline. For instance, geese. According to the Livestock Conservancy, this particular breed, called the Roman Tufted, is on the critical list, meaning that there are probably fewer than 500 birds in the United States. They're a marvelous breed that have an ancient history. Roman geese, in fact, go back as far, well, the story goes to the first sacking of Rome. They're attributed to sounding the alarm and letting the Romans know that the Gauls were at the gates. And so they've come down through history, and they've been a favorite Italian goose for the table, and they're characterized as a small goose. And what I'll say about these, which I like very much, is they're very calm. And there's some geese that are rather noisy and loud, but these are very calm and quiet geese. So it's interesting to me that they got so disturbed and woke the sleepy Romans up in 390 BC. This is a small breeding flock of them here at Moss Mountain Farm, and what I want to do is show you some of the characteristics of this breed. So we're up close and personal with a young male Roman Tufted. He's not very happy, but what I want you to see is the tuft from which their name is derived, and look closely at those gorgeous blue eyes and that pink bill. And the eyes, the blue eyes, are surrounded by these pink eyelids. And the feet too are pink. They're a very, very beautiful goose. And although it's considered a light goose, he's a very, very solid bird. So a male goose is a gander, a female is a goose, and the babies are called goslings. This is one of the oldest Western breeds we have here, but we have two colors of Chinese geese, which are as ancient as this breed. One called the white China, and the other one called the brown China. And unlike the Roman Tufted, these are a very, shall we say, gregarious goose. They love to talk and make a lot of noise. A lot of people call them swan geese because they're so elegant on the water. They have long, slender necks that give them a swan-like appearance. This flock of young Embdens are part of a conservation effort. They will be going to the Good Shepherd Conservancy along with a flock of Pomeranians, and these were the choice market goose of Germany. They're very large and a great statuesque bird, I think. So this is an example again of a large goose. You can see some of the ganders are the tallest ones. The heads of the ganders are much larger. And I don't like to get around them too much and force them into corners. It makes them a little nervous, but They do get used to you. Now, a lot of people are afraid of geese, and my grandmother Smith kept geese, and they were used for making pillows, the feathers. And a lot of people find that they can be mean, but they're typically not, only during nesting time. So you can see these Sebastopols look like they're floating along. They're like ballerinas, and they're very beautiful. One friend said they look like a hat the Queen Mother used to wear with these curly feathers and so forth. You can see they're in conversation with those big giant Embden geese, the big German geese. It's a typical market goose. So what we've seen here so far is a small goose in the Romans, a medium in the Sebastopols, and then in large geese, the Embdens. Now there are other examples of geese that fall into these categories of size, so let's take a look at a few of those. We'll start with another large one called the Toulouse. So now we're going to leave Germany, we're going to go to France. Now before we head off to France, let's hang around in Germany for just a moment. These are Pomeranians, or saddlebacks, gray saddlebacks. And they're not very, well, they're not seen very often, particularly with good markings like this. And so we're underway with a conservation effort to try to put these geese back to work. They were a very prominent market goose in the 19th century in Germany. And I think they have very striking feather patterns. You can see why they're called saddlebacks. They also come in the color buff, not just gray, but buff. All right, I promised you all along we'd end up in France, and I don't want to spook them too much, but these are the giant dewlap Toulouse. Now, the reason they're called giant is they're big, so this is another category. This is a large goose category, obviously, and dewlap, it's that wattle of feathery, loose skin with feathers on it under the chin is the dewlap, and Toulouse, again, well, this is the name of where they came from. So you see these in different kinds of forms, the Toulouse goose in more of a market type, but these are the big ones that will weigh up to 30 pounds for a gander. And I'm just going to walk slowly up here. You can see the difference in the gray, which was the original one, and then now they come in the color buff, which is this very light tan color. They're so big, they don't often reproduce that well. They'll lay about 20 to 35 eggs a year. And I think they're remarkable. They're a storybook kind of goose, something that you would see in the pages of Beatrix Potter, I think. And I love them. And they're very gentle and calm. They don't make a lot of sound. And they're good value for a farm or a small acreage place where you can have them walking around, and they're like moving garden ornament. They're very shy, really. I think among the geese, these would be considered introverts. So we've kept a flock of these Toulouse for 15 years here at Moss Mountain Farm. They're a part of our conservation efforts here to save them. I hope today's show's inspired you to check out some of these heritage poultry breeds. They don't start and stop with geese. You can check out turkeys, ducks, chickens, and so forth. It's really a lot of fun. Now remember, December is Heritage Goose Month. And make sure that you like this video if you liked it. And I hope you'll subscribe. And if you'd like to be updated when we have new content, just ring the bell. And plan to come see us here at Moss Mountain Farm. I send out a newsletter every Friday. Just go to pallensmith.com, sign up for the newsletter, and you can see the schedule of events that we have here and our open dates and times. All right, until next time.